Thank you for joining for this Warwick International Foundation Programme introductory webinar. My name is Alison Durham and I'm the Warwick Foundation Studies Marketing, Communications and Admissions Manager. So Warwick Foundation Studies is an academic department at the University of Warwick. And we have got an entire academic teaching team, and we have a professional services team, which I'm a member of. And we look after Warwick's International Foundation programme, also our summer school programmes at Warwick, so a pre-university and an over-18 summer school. And we also look after pre-sessional and in-sessional English language support for the university. Obviously today I'll be focusing on the International Foundation programme, but it just gives you an idea about the department that you would be joining and how we sit at the university. Okay, so I'll start with an introduction about Warwick, because that is probably what you've heard about already, and that might be what has attracted you to start thinking about studying with us is the reputation of the university. So we'll begin with the location. So we're right in the centre of England. You can see the dot on the map is not the actual size. We're a little bit smaller than that in the UK, but our closest city is Coventry. So that's the city that you would be part of when you join the University of Warwick. We're around 20 minutes to Birmingham and Birmingham International Airports. And then it's around an hour to an hour and a half to London and the airports in London as well. So you can see we're really centrally located, and around the outskirts of the University of Warwick, as well as those cities, there's also lots of small towns, the likes of Kenilworth, Warwick, Leamington Spa, and also Stratford-upon-Avon, which is the birthplace of William Shakespeare. So some of those very quintessentially British towns, that's the environment that surrounds us at the University of Warwick, but with those really good links to cities as well. So what would be the reason for joining Warwick, and why would you think about joining the University of Warwick? Well, we're a leading Russell Group university, and we've got an excellence in teaching as well as research. The Russell Group in the UK is a group of institutions which are notorious for their research output, and their innovative teaching, their links with industry, and we're really proud to be part of the Russell Group in the UK, as well as being associated with the Russell Group. Our rankings are always consistently in the top 10 in the UK rankings as well. So this year we are 8th in the UK according to The Guardian. We're 22nd in Europe according to the QS World Rankings, and 69th in the world, again according to the QS World Rankings. So you can see Warwick is not just a major university in the UK, but it's also got a very big international reputation. Something that the Warwick is also really proud of is the fact that it's achieved this in a very short space of time. So when you compare Warwick to the likes of Oxford, Cambridge, some of the London universities, and the likes of Manchester, they have got hundreds of years of history. Warwick was actually only established 60 years ago. So we are celebrating our 60th anniversary in 2025. So we've achieved a significant amount for a new university. So we're quite young in terms of university ages. So we're really proud of what we've achieved, as well as the research I've mentioned, and the fact that sets us as part of the Russell Group. We've also been awarded gold in the Teaching Excellence Framework, which is the highest accreditation you can receive in that. So we're really focused on making sure that our research is translated into the teaching that we do for our students, so that the things that you are taught are at the cutting edge. They're the most recent pieces of information about that discipline area, but also that it's engaging content, that our teachers are experts in the way that they deliver that content to you, so that you are learning from some of the best academics in the world. Warwick has a number of faculties, and then within those faculties are departments. So you can see the spread across the different faculties there. So we've got arts, science and social sciences. And then we do have some cross-faculty studies as well. And these are really interesting degree programmes where you can combine subjects from across different discipline areas. So our arts faculty is where you'll find the likes of history of art, film and television, English and classics. In science, you'll find the traditional science subjects of life sciences, so your biology, your Warwick Medical School is also with a part of that, engineering and computer science. And also interestingly at Warwick, psychology is treated as a science as well. So some places treat it as a social science, but for Warwick, psychology falls within the science faculty. And then within social sciences, you have the likes of Warwick Business School, economics, law, and then smaller departments such as politics and philosophy as well. In terms of cross-faculty studies, I've mentioned them already. They're programmes such as Global Sustainable Development and Liberal Arts. And on those courses, so for Global Sustainable Development, for example, you can do a lot of joint honour variations of those degree programmes. So, for example, you could do Economic Studies and Global Sustainable Development. So it's that joining of the different subject areas and thinking about things across disciplines. That's what those courses are able to offer for students as well. Foundation studies, we sit within the social sciences faculty as a department, but obviously the courses on the IFP, which I'll talk about some more, they spread across all different faculties within the university. As well as your studies, obviously there's a lot more that comes with university life, and Warwick has got a wide range of services and facilities that are available to all students, including foundation students. So there is accommodation all around campus. So for our IFP and first year undergraduate students, you are prioritised for accommodation on campus. Again, there's a range of options from shared bathrooms, sharing kitchens between 15, 16 people, all the way through to ensuite accommodation, so a private bathroom, and then perhaps a small shared kitchen for 7 to 12 people, for example. So lots of different options available, and the majority of that is on campus as well. You can choose to live off campus, and the accommodation team support with that. But in those first years, we do recommend living on campus to really engage with the campus environment. We have a welcome team. So our priority is making sure that you get settled into your time at the university. So we have Welcome Week, and we have a whole team who are dedicated to making sure that runs smoothly and that you're able to do everything that you need in that first week to make sure that you're familiar with the university and ready to start your studies. We have a residential community team who live alongside students. So they are based across the accommodation on campus, and they are there for any concerns that you have, even the basics of perhaps losing your key, getting locked out. They can help with that, all the way through to feelings of homesickness, or if you're perhaps not making the bonds with your flatmates that you would have expected. They're there to provide support throughout that. We have, associated with your study, we have things such as the library, and there's also the student opportunity. So that would be things such as study abroad opportunities. We also have an immigration team as part of student opportunity as well. So anybody who is using a visa to study in the UK, you will be able to get support from our immigration team once you're here as well. We have a students' union and a student union advice centre as well. So the students' union you will automatically become a member of when you join the university. And there are various facilities across campus that are operated by the students' union. Things such as retail, so shops, food, bars. All of the money that you spend at those is then channeled back into the Students' Union to provide services such as the Advice Centre and offer opportunities for employment and volunteering. So that's an integral part of the university and the student life. You also get the opportunity to take part in the elections for your student union team, so you can vote for the people that you think will best represent you as well. So again, physically there is a big space on campus for the Students' Union, but also as part of the community, it is a big part of being a member of the university. We've also got things such as our music centre, sports centre and Warwick Arts Centre. So these are available to members of the public, but primarily they're used by students and staff at the university. The Arts Centre, for example, I'll show some pictures shortly. They've got a full cinema in the Arts Centre. There is a theatre, there are performance studios. So you get the opportunity to engage with those activities, buy tickets and attend shows. But likewise, if you get involved in some of the societies at Warwick, you would have the opportunity to be actually on stage at those sorts of facilities. So some really interesting things available. The Sports Centre has got a wellness hub. So it's I think it was built within the last 4 years, so it feels like a very new facility. There's a full-scale climbing wall, there is a swimming pool, the actual fitness suite as well, and then all of the sports clubs that are available at Warwick will make use of all of those facilities across the campus. We also know that there's a whole other element to being at university, and that's about your health, your well-being, and making sure that you're fully supported. So you'll find things such as the health centre on campus, so that you can register with a doctor on campus for if you have any medical issues whilst you're with us. Our wellbeing support team covers everything from your mental well-being. They can support students who perhaps already have diagnosed conditions that they need support with, whether they are mental health conditions, physical conditions, mobility. The wellbeing support team are there to guide you through that and make sure that you are able to engage fully with university life, and that you have everything in place to make sure that you have got the opportunity to be successful here as well. Alongside that support, we have a chaplaincy, and there's representation from various different faiths. It's also a really nice quiet space for people who perhaps don't have a specific faith but want somewhere quiet to reflect. The chaplaincy is available and open to everybody. And then we have our community safety and estates team. And community safety are available 24 hours a day. I had to use them last week because I got locked out of my office, and they are the people that can help you with those sorts of situations. They're also first aid trained, so if there are any medical emergencies, they are always around on campus and can come and help you with any difficulties that you might have. And I've mentioned working as well, so I've mentioned the Students' Union and job opportunities. Warwick also has its own service called Unitemps, so you can register with Unitemps and take part in temporary contracts throughout your studies as well, whether that's in retail, whether it's in other parts of the university, perhaps being a student ambassador. You can do all of that through the Unitemps service too. And as I mentioned, as a foundation programme student, you immediately join all of this. So it's not separate for university, undergraduate and postgraduate students. As a Warwick IFP student, you join all of this when you arrive at the university. So I've mentioned there's 250 different societies, so from the Cheese and Wine Society through to the Harry Potter Society. There are also societies that are related to your studies, so economics. There's so many different options for you, and we really encourage students to take part so that you can broaden your circle of friendship beyond just the IFP course and really integrate into the life on campus. There's 65 different sports clubs. I've mentioned some of them already, that make use of all of those sporting facilities. And then there's a lot of employment and volunteering opportunities on campus. And as I've said, it's your campus. It belongs to the students, and Foundation is part of that campus community as well. So this is the Sports and Wellness Hub that I've mentioned. You can see it's a really nice brand new facility, very impressive. And there's our art centre as well, which is a really big facility. It's one of the biggest art centres outside of a London-based university as well. So something that we're really proud of and like to talk about with students. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what life at Warwick is like, what you can expect from campus and how you'd be part of the campus community. I'll now talk specifically about the International Foundation Programme. So we were founded in 1983 as a foundation programme. So you can see we've recently celebrated our 40-year anniversary, and that makes us one of the longest running foundation programmes in the world. So we've got a lot of expertise there. I mean, not all of us were there at the very start of that, but most of our staff have been with us for a substantial period of time, and we're always welcoming new members of staff into the team. But we've still got that expertise from some of our more established tutors and professional services team. I've mentioned we're a department at Warwick, so the full programme is delivered at the University of Warwick and by academic staff who are employed by the University of Warwick. So some of our academics are focused purely on foundation programme, but we also have academics who work across different departments and therefore work across different levels of study. So for example, on arts and humanities, some of our tutors actually work in the Faculty of Arts and some of the central departments such as film and television and history of art as well. So there's a real overlap with our academics working alongside undergraduate and postgraduate departments at the university as well. The foundation programme offers progression routes into most Warwick degree programmes, including some of the most popular and competitive courses, such as economics, management, and law. So those offers and progression routes are available through the foundation programme. But it's also considered by most other UK universities. So you don't just have to join the Warwick IFP to stay at Warwick. We would love you to do that, and we obviously want you to join us and want to stay with us for as long as possible. but you can use the Warwick International Foundation Programme to go to other UK universities, including the likes of UCL, LSE, King's, Durham. Each year we host an event where we invite other UK institutions through to talk to our students, and it's really popular and well attended. So this year we had universities such as UCL, Imperial, who like to talk to our students because they know how successful they can be on their degree programmes. A key part of the module is our English provision, and this isn't English language in the sense that you might be familiar with, so it's not about preparing for IELTS exams, it's about academic English, and it's based upon your subject discipline. I'll talk about that some more shortly. And we also have a core inquiry and research skills module as well, and again I'll talk about that in some more detail. This year, there are 10 distinct academic programmes that you can choose from. So the pathway options in the field of business and economics, you've got business management, finance and economics. Our STEM, our science and math subjects are mathematics and statistics, computer science, physics and engineering, and biological sciences and psychology. And then social sciences, we've got a social science course, law, and arts and humanities. So they are 10 distinct pathway options. So what we recommend is that you look at those different course options to establish which one is the best suited to you in terms of your interests, your skills and your knowledge. What subjects are you good at and do you enjoy? And also, where are you looking to go in the future? What course at undergraduate level would you like to study? So that's how we recommend you view our course options. The courses are all structured in the same way. So we have academic discipline, inquiry and research skills, and the academic English. Now, this diagram, we've done it this way around to show you that actually the foundation of the subject is your ability, your academic English and your inquiry and research skills. And then the academic discipline is built upon top of that. So it's not to do with the amount. Your academic discipline will take up most of your time in your studies, but it is really reliant on the skills and your engagement with inquiry and research skills and academic English. So if we look at the academic discipline area, you'll find full module details on the course web pages. So we recommend that you have a look at those. Some modules will run across multiple courses. So for example, if you choose economics, computer science, or mathematics and statistics, then the core mathematics modules will be the same because they are some fundamentals of maths. So the pure mathematics and further mathematics and statistics, they are the core essentials of maths that you need to be successful at undergraduate level in those subject areas. So they will have modules in common, so similar modules. But then there will be other elements of those courses which make them distinctive. So obviously on computer science, you would then expect to have a computer science module. On economics, you have got an economics module that goes along with that. And on maths and statistics, you have additional maths in the form of scientific programming and mathematical modelling. So all of that information is on the website, but it gives you an idea about the breakdown of the courses. And it really helps you, as I've mentioned, to have a think about what are you excited to study? What do you enjoy studying? And where are your skills? If, for example, you're thinking about studying something like philosophy, politics, and economics, then our economics programme offers progression to that course. But likewise, so does our social science course. At that point, it's a really good idea to look at the structure of both courses and think about what modules you'd be interested in studying. If you really enjoy maths, then economics would be your option because that has got those 2 maths modules. If maths is not your preferred subject area and you're more interested in the social science element of something like PPE, then we would recommend social sciences, where you'll study politics, you'll have understanding society, and you'll have philosophy as well. So you'll have the opportunity to look at those modules to really help guide your decision about which course is the best option for you. Inquiry and research skills, I've mentioned this. This is all about how you go about becoming an academic in a UK environment, a UK university environment. So how do you conduct research? How do you find sources? How do you make sure that the way that you present your arguments is appropriate? All of that is part of the inquiry and research skills module. And as I've mentioned, that is tailored depending on which subject area you're studying. So inquiry and research skills will look very different for a law student than it does for a physics and engineering student. So it's bespoke depending on which course you're studying. The module culminates at the end of the year in a poster conference. Now, a research poster conference is something that you would typically associate with a master's degree, a postgraduate degree. But we think it's a really great way to showcase the skills that our students have developed during their foundation programme. And a lot of our students reflect that the skills that they've learned through this module actually mean that when they start their undergraduate studies, they've got a lot more knowledge and a lot more confidence in those skills than some of their peers who've perhaps studied different options, whether it's A-levels or IB programmes. They feel more confident because of the types of activity they've done on inquiry and research skills. So as part of the post-conference, students go away and they choose a subject area that they'd like to research. It can be something that is particularly important to them. So we've had students looking at climate change, looking at deforestation in the Amazon, things that are really important to them. So for example, the Amazon project was one of our students from Brazil. They then go away, conduct research, the relevant reading. They then have to analyse and evaluate the research and then present their findings in these posters. So they design their posters, make sure that it's visually pleasing, that it looks good for academic staff who come to interview them, and then they have to be able to talk about the research, how they did their research, what they would improve next time, and the things that they've enjoyed about doing that. So it's a really exciting project and an opportunity to showcase a lot of the skills that you'll develop during the year on the foundation programme. And then finally, I've mentioned our academic English. And again, this is tailored depending on which subject you're studying. And again, the module will look very different on arts and humanities than it does on business management, for example, because it's all about the skills that you need to be able to use across those subjects. So academic English will be thinking about things such as, how do you take notes strategically in a lecture? How do you use those listening skills to then produce notes that are going to be really useful for you? How do you prepare for a presentation? How do you deliver a presentation? What tone should you be using to make sure you're conveying your message properly? How do you take part in a seminar discussion? So how can you put forward your ideas in an academic way using those English language skills? So it's not just, as I've mentioned, preparing for an English test and learning the vocabulary. It goes much further than that. And we have students who join us with an IELTS of 8.5, and they are still engaging in academic English, and it still helps them to get the best out of their studies. And that's something that they will reflect when they talk to us at the end of the programme as well, how important that was in making sure that they were fully equipped for their undergraduate studies. The structure of the course runs for an academic year. So it starts at the end of September in 2025. That's when you would have your welcome week, with teaching then commencing in October. And it runs all the way through to the 4th of July in 2026. So there's 25 weeks of teaching, and then there's also reading weeks, revision weeks, and examination. And I'll talk some more about the assessment element as well. You typically would expect around 4 hours per week of taught time per academic module. And that works out at about 15 to 20 hours per week in the classroom. Beyond that, you are expected to be doing independent research. So 20 hours might not seem very much when you compare it to perhaps what you do at school, where you might be there for 30 or more hours a week. But that 20 hours is just the time that you're in class. And then there is an expectation of a certain amount of independent study, whether it's working on assessments, preparing for seminars, reading, all of that is expected as independent study. And again, this is where the foundation programme is really preparing you for life as an undergraduate student. As an undergraduate student, you would probably have less than 15 hours in the classroom. Some courses, it might only be 7 or 8 hours in a classroom. And outside of that, you're very reliant on your independent study. So the foundation programme is preparing you for that and making sure that you are able to manage your time effectively and make sure that you're prepared for your studies. Similarly to undergraduate level, teaching will be via lectures and seminars. So a lecture is when you will all be together in a big lecture theatre. There might be up to 100 students in the theatre. And then a seminar is a small group, and that would be typically 15 or 16 students. And that's your opportunity to have more of those discussions, engage with your academic tutors and ask questions and build upon your knowledge. This year we are trialling some modules with pre-recorded lectures that students will engage with online at the start of the week and then attend their seminars. And this is based on some of the feedback that students have had about lectures and finding it much easier to engage with an online lecture where they can go back, pause, replay. So that's something that we are looking at over some of our modules this year based on student feedback. Some modules run for an entire year, so we refer to those as full modules, and then some modules are taught for part of the year, so half modules, to make sure that you're studying enough credits and you've got the right balance. If there is a half module on your programme, there will always be 2 half modules to make up the same amount of teaching as a full module, but it allows us to specialise in specific areas. So, for example, on the maths course, I've mentioned the scientific programming module. That's a half module, and that's combined with another half module about interdisciplinary mathematics. So it just depends on what content we need to cover. So that's the structure of the modules as well. Most of the teaching happens within the Westwood neighbourhood, which is an area of the Warwick Central Campus. It's a small, quiet area, and it's where our IFP academic tutors and the administrative team are based. And then you would then walk across between where we are based on Westwood and the busier parts of Central Campus, so things like the Students' Union. But it's all within sort of a 10-15 minute walk between. So that's how you would expect the teaching to be laid out across the actual campus location. So assessment and progression, it does vary depending on the course and also varies depending on the module. What we try to make sure is that the assessments offer a range of opportunities for you to display different skills. So it's not just all one format of assessment, it does vary across the module. So it could include things such as essays, reports, there might be group presentations, examinations, and I've obviously spoken about the IRS conference where you'll be presenting. They are all worth a percentage of your overall mark, and then they are added together to make up those overall grades. So it's not the case, no module would you ever just have a final examination that's worth 100% of your grade. They will all add together to make up that final mark. They're also weighted, so that means that some of them are worth more than others. And the reason we do that is so that when you start the programme, the weighting will be quite light on some of those assessments. And that takes into account the fact that you've only just started with us. There's a lot to learn and you're perhaps developing those skills still. So an essay that you complete in September, it will be worth less than an examination that takes place in June, for example, because it reflects the fact that you're only just joining the programme. So it's not fair to say that as an assessment that you take part in those first 6 weeks should be weighted at 50%, for example, because it's not realistic that you will have got all of the content and all of the skills that you need for that. So that's how we base the assessments. We also have opportunities to practice your assessment skills too, through formative assessments. So the way that these work is that you'll be set a piece of work. It might be to produce the introduction to an essay. It might be to put together your reference list, your bibliography. That is then submitted and the tutors will mark it, but they won't give you grades that count towards your final marks. They just give you an opportunity to learn from the feedback that they give you. So it doesn't count towards your final piece of work, but we recommend you engage with it to have an opportunity to practice those skills and get the feedback from the tutors about how you can improve for the future. At the end of the course, you receive an overall mark for each module, and then you get an overall average for the course itself as well. And then your offers for future study are based on those grades. And that's at Warwick and other UK universities. So it's typically that there is a module, there is a mark for each module, and you'll be required to get a certain mark in those modules and then a certain overall average as well. This table just gives you an idea of some of the undergraduate degree courses available and the progression options to those. So, for example, something like physics at undergraduate degree level in Warwick. For that, it's very clear that you would be studying on the physics and engineering course. So that would be one progression option for you. If you were to study something such as computer science, you can see that actually you've got 2 options. You could do mathematics and statistics, or you could study computer science. So there's two different options. And again, that's where it comes down to looking at the modules that are available and working out which foundation programme might be the best option for you. Last year, our progression was really, really positive. So we saw 63% of our students progressed and stayed at the University of Warwick. 84% of the students progressed to a Russell Group university, and 70% progressed to a top 10 UK university. So you can see the students who are they're either staying at Warwick or they're going to really highly ranked universities across the UK. So there are lots of options available to you. When you join us, we do support you with the UCAS process, and that's the mechanism that you use to apply for undergraduate study in the UK. We support you with that. We provide you with advice and guidance about your personal statements. We support you with making those decisions about universities that you might be interested in studying at. And we will also talk you through your progress as you go through the course. So how are you performing? Are you likely to achieve the grades that are required, or do you need to start thinking about other options? Okay, so that gives you an idea of where you end up on the foundation programme. But in terms of applying and how you join the course, applications are made online via our website. There is a £75 non-refundable application assessment fee. If you are a sponsored student, then you can apply for an application fee waiver, and they are assessed by our admissions team. So you apply online. It's an application form that is specifically for the foundation programme. It's also used the system is also used for postgraduate study at Warwick, but our form is specifically for the IFP, so it's all the things that we need to know about you. And we also ask that you submit a recent school transcript that meets our entry requirements. Now, those entry requirements are on our course web pages. So again, have a look at the course web pages. Once you've decided which one you want to choose, on that course page, there will be a section about entry requirements, and we list various different qualifications from all around the world. We also ask that you submit a personal statement. There's guidance on our website about the personal statement that we're looking for. There are some specific things that we're asking for you to talk about, particularly about the subject area, why you're choosing the Warwick Foundation programme, and then there's an extra element about what you will bring to Warwick and to the community if you were to join us as well. So you've got an option of how you answer that section. We typically assess applications within 3 to 5 working days. That can be slightly longer during busy periods. It can go up to seven working days. But if you haven't heard anything and it's been 2 weeks or more since you submitted your application, please do contact us, because sometimes what might have happened is that we've emailed you and perhaps the email hasn't got through to you, or you've uploaded a document and it's not come through to us. So we do encourage you to communicate with us if you've not received a response, and because we would expect you to have received a response within those sort of 3 to 5 working days. If you're successful, you will receive a conditional offer, and the offer will perhaps have the grade requirements for you. It will say what you need to achieve at school. It will also have the English requirements as well. If you haven't submitted an IELTS test yet, it will ask you for the specific IELTS grades. If we don't think that we've got enough information to make a decision, then we can invite some students to take part in an interview, and they're typically with an academic member of staff. So they're typically with an academic member of staff, and they are also with a member of our admissions team. So for example, it might be around mathematics, and we're just trying to see what level your maths is at to make sure that you'd be successful on the programme. There's nothing to prepare for those. You just need to make sure you have a pen and paper and you join the video call that is set up for you, and you choose the date and time that works best for you as well. So that's the one thing that might happen during the admissions process. But if we don't need any further information, then we would go straight to conditional offer. All the offers will have deadlines about accepting offers and paying academic deposits, and they depend upon when you've received your offer. So you really need to make sure that you check your offer email and also check the applicant portal. So when you set up a profile to submit your application, you are creating an applicant portal, and you'll be able to check that in future for any future further information. So that's details of the applications. In terms of ways to find out more, you can read and listen to our student testimonials on our website. You can attend webinars like this. We'll be holding some more of these throughout the year, and we'll be taking a look at things such as admissions. We will look at each course in specific detail, so we will also invite you to webinars that are course specific. We also run live chats, and we all have a network of agents that represent the University of Warwick as well, who are there to support you if you do choose to make an application to us. Warwick also uses the UniBuddy system, so you can talk to current Warwick students, and we'll shortly be having some IFP students joining that system. But in the meantime, you can have a look at UniBuddy on the Warwick website and talk to other Warwick students, and they can give you some advice about what it's like living and studying on campus as well. That's it from the information from my side. So we've now got some time for questions. If anybody would like to ask any questions, you can write questions in the chat. You can also raise your hand and ask questions if you would like to do that as well. Hi, Ashley. Please feel free to put your microphone on or type a question, whichever you prefer.
Okay. You mentioned about the conditional offer. And what do you mean by the conditional offer?
Okay, so when you apply, we'll have assessed certain parts of the application, but it might be that you've not done everything that you need to receive an unconditional offer. So a conditional offer typically outlines what you still need to do in order to be qualified and secure your place on the course. So if, for example, if a student is still studying at school, so they're still in their final year of school, the offer will be conditional based on their final grades, and we will say which grades they need to achieve. If they haven't completed their English qualification yet, it will outline their English qualification. And likewise, things that we're looking for, such as their passport, an academic deposit, they will all be conditions in the offer. If a student has already finished school and they've already got an English certificate, then the conditions would just be things such as submitting a copy of a passport and paying the academic deposit. So it really depends what stage the student is at in terms of their academic journey.
Yeah. So I'm actually Ashley's mom. So she is now currently in grade 10 with the IB curriculum school. So we are thinking about applying for the IFP for when she finished the year 11. So
Okay.
it will be a school year 2026 to 2027. So she will be applying since, let's say, when the application started.
Yeah, so they will open for the 2026 program. They will open in September or October 2025.
Yeah. So let's say in September. So the report that she will be sending, it will be from year 10.
Yeah.
Semester year 10, semester 2, right?
Yes.
And then while you're reviewing the eligibility of her application, you will require 3 to 5 days. So it means she will not be able to submit any reason report, right?
So we could use the year 10 report. So we could use that report. And that's why we make them conditional offers. So we will look at will look at the performance of the student in their previous year, or even if you applied, for example, in January 2026 rather than when applications open, you could use a year 11 term 1 transcript, and we can use that to just assess what level they're currently performing at, what level Ashley's currently at, and then we would make a conditional offer if we felt that it was likely that she was going to achieve the grades that we need for the foundation program.
Okay, so it means that she needs to complete until the end of year 11 report, right?
Yes, so we will ask and we will give you a deadline. So typically it's in mid-August, but we can extend that where students need it later. You would have until that time to get the final report from school and submit that. And at that point, then the offer would become unconditional if Ashley has met the grades that we've requested.
Yeah, so it could happen when when she submit her recent her recent report, that it end up that she cannot fulfill the offer. So it means that maybe in July or August that she will need to find another program.
Yeah, so if she didn't meet the grade requirements that we'd set, then that could be the case. Typically we don't see that happen a lot, and that's why we make conditional offers, and that's why we want to see the most recent transcripts. Because if, for example, if a student is performing at a level that is very far away from our entry requirements, so if their grades are much lower than we would expect, then we wouldn't make them a conditional offer if we didn't think it was realistic, because that's not very helpful for them if they're not likely to achieve it. So we would look at the transcript and make a judgment as to whether the student was likely to meet our requirements. If at the end of the year the student doesn't meet our requirements but has perhaps missed 1 or 2 points, or is 1 grade lower that is below our requirements, we would look at that and we would still have a look at the overall performance and see whether we felt that it was still okay to accept the student in the same way that universities do for undergraduate study. We would still have that flexibility at the end of the cycle when results are released if we needed to.
Okay, so how many percent is it the acceptance rate for the IFP program?
So the offer rate, around 70% of applicants are made an offer. So around 70% receive offers, and then the acceptance rate beyond that, to the unconditional offer part, is mainly students who make the decision whether they want to join us or not. And we don't see like I say, we don't see a huge number of students who are rejected after they've received an offer. So we don't see a big number of students who don't meet those grades, because we do that initial assessment. Most of the time it's the acceptance is based on whether students are choosing to come to us or whether they choose other foundation options.
Yeah, so last question. Is this program is still available for a year 12 diploma, the year 12 student who's holding a diploma, IB diploma?
So yes, so IB diploma. So this year we are now accepting IB diploma students. So in previous years we haven't done that over the last 5 years, but we are now accepting IB diploma. But the IB diploma is only accepted if it's not been studied in the UK. If it's been studied in the UK, then those students aren't eligible for joining us if they're doing the full diploma. If it's IB certificates or if it's the middle years program, then we would accept that. But if it's a full IB diploma that's been studied in the UK, then that should really be someone applying for direct undergraduate study.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay, no problem. We've got another question from Marianne, just asking about international students who's been residing in London for more than 3 years and will have home fee status later on in the year 1. Are they still eligible for the IFP? They are, but it depends on their qualifications. So it will depend what they've been studying. If it's A-level or IB, and they're based in the UK, then they won't be eligible to join us for the foundation programme. Then they should go for direct entry. If they haven't completed an IB, or if it's, for example, AS levels, or if it's perhaps an international curriculum but studied in the UK, then we would consider it. So it's more about the qualification than it is about the later fee status. Yes, so an A-level student who hasn't studied in the UK is eligible to apply. Again, this is a change for this year. People who are studying an A-level programme but not in the UK can join us, because there is still felt that there will be a benefit in joining something like the International Foundation Programme. The experience of studying in the UK, joining the UK environment, there is still lots of benefits that our International Foundation Programme can offer to somebody who's done an A-level overseas. So that's the concept of A-level and IB students for you. Do we have any agents in Jakarta? Yes, we do have agents around the world. So I'll also put a link in the chat to the agent pages and the country pages that you can find. That they're really useful, because it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you have a look at our country information pages, you'll be able to find details for your country, your region. You can also sign up for information about upcoming events when the university is coming to visit you. So if I just share this link in the chat on our international pages, so if you go on there, and then you'll be able to find whichever country it is that's relevant to you. You can see they're grouped according to regions on there. You find the country, and then it will give you information on that page about representation in your country, and you'll be able to contact them for any support that you need with applications. Just having a look in the mathematics track, and in terms of progression, would they still need to take entrance exams like TMUA or STEP to get into year one? That depends on which mathematics course at Warwick you're studying. So some programs won't require it for progression, and then some of the mathematics programs will require it. So it really depends on which undergraduate degree that somebody is joining. And we've got some exemptions. Off the top of my head, I think economics, for example, is exempted, so students don't need to do the additional progression examination. But then for certain courses, that requirement of STEP or TMUA is still required. We do outline that to students when they join the programme, and we would provide them with the support that they need to prepare for those examinations and take the assessments as well. So we provide that as part of the session. Will the recording be shared with participants? Yes, we'll share the recording with you, so that you have all of the information from this session. And then, like I say, we'll also schedule future webinars that are focused on specific course areas and specific elements of the admissions process as well. So hopefully that will help you. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, I can't see that anyone's typing at the moment. So thank you very much for joining us. It's really lovely to speak to all of you about the foundation programme. I hope you found the information useful, and please do get in touch with us if you have any further follow-up questions. So obviously the emails that came out to you to remind you and to book the session, you can reply to those emails, and it will come through to a member of the team, and we'll be able to support you with any further questions that you might have about the programme. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you. Bye-bye.